Welcome, Rares, to our end of decade special 100% United pod. Today we're going to be looking back over a mixed decade for us Reds. Should be loads of fun. I'm your host TC, and joined as always by my co-host Scott. Hi Scott, you looking forward to a trip down memory lane today, mate?
No, I can't wait. Can't wait.
Let's get cracking. We'll start with our top three goals of the decade. Scott, fire away. Who you got?
Rooney, bicycle kick against City.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty obvious. Robin Van Persie against Villa. Pretty obvious. And just shows that the first 2 years, first two goals. And I would actually probably put Marcus Rashford's free kick against Chelsea a couple of months ago.
Blooming hell, okay.
Yeah.
Bit of recency bias there, maybe?
Maybe. I remember thinking it was the best free kick I'd ever seen. So it's got to be on my list, right?
Better than Ronnie's against Portsmouth?
It was, yeah.
Did you
It
think
was.
so?
I know. Yeah, I do.
I have to disagree.
It was further out, better keeper. And
What,
yeah.
David James? Come on.
Oh, come on.
Okay, is that in order? Is that your top three in order, or?
Oh no, that
Or is
was
that just random?
well. That was chronological order.
Okay.
Best one, I'd probably say, would be that Robin Van Persie against Villa.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what are yours? Come on.
I've got quite a different three, actually, Scott.
Great.
I must say. So I have Van Persie's free kick at the Etihad.
Mm.
I know it took a massive deflection, but it was the importance of that goal.
Yeah.
Look, it came months after this desperate day, which I'm sure we'll discuss when we're talking about our worst moments of the decade, Scott. But it was monumental in terms of wresting that title back from the blue side of Manchester. Just, the three goals that I've gone for are, as I say, Van Persie at the Etihad, last minute.
They're important goals as opposed to the quality of the goals.
Van Persie volley against Villa I've got in there too.
Okay.
I must say, but I've always thought this, Scott. I was there for both of them. I was there for Rooney's bicycle kick, and I was there for Berbatov's bicycle kick against Liverpool as well.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought Berba's was way better.
Yeah.
Berba's controlled it with his knee. He struck it perfectly. It's crossbarring in top corner.
Against Liverpool.
We've beaten Liverpool. Oh, come on. And he's back to hat-trick.
Yeah.
I mean, come off it. Whereas Rooney was...
But as you say about that Van Persie goal, that Rooney goal, we won the league that season, and that was, City were noisy neighbours, unfortunately I have to say at the time, and they were really trying to stake their claim. And that goal to win that derby really kept us going and really gave us momentum to win the league that year.
You're right. They're both good goals, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth.
But that Van Persie goal, I remember exactly where I was. It's one of those moments that you'll remember for the rest of your life. I was at some random apartment in New York watching on this tiny little TV, and we were 2-0 up that game, and they came back for 2-2, and we were lucky to have not conceded from Aguero a second before. Mm-hmm. And for him to put that in was... You're right. What a goal that was.
What the free kick?
Yeah.
Oh, just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Really, really great stuff. So, look, a little bit different, but you got the your top three saves of the decade for me, Scott.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Amazingly, they're all the same man.
There you go. Van der Sar was on his way out, wasn't he, at the end?
I think these three saves were just... some of the three best saves you've ever seen in your life.
So we haven't talked before the pod about this. So they are literally plucked out of both of our memories and hearts. So we will see how similar they are. Go on, let's go for it.
Yeah, and these were tough though, because MUTV app just released the 2,000 goals of the Premier League, right? So you could easily go back and watch the best goals, but saves were hard to find, and you just sort of had to just remember them.
That's what I went for.
I can't actually remember chronologically, but okay, I'll go from third to best, and we can alternate it.
Yeah.
I'd probably say that save he made away at Liverpool with his feet.
From Matip.
Was it Matip?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we were wearing white, and he made some save from 4 or 5 yards out with his feet, and it was just outrageous. It was just one of the best I'd ever seen.
It's on my list too, Scott. Spot on.
Okay.
Who else you got?
That one against Juan Mata, when Mata was playing for Chelsea, and he hit that free kick in the last minute.
This is easy, isn't it?
It reminded me of that famous Peter Schmeichel save away at Spurs in like 92, and that everyone had always seen the photo of him just at full stretch.
Yeah. That
was unbelievable, and that was really important as well, right?
But then that was easy enough for Schmeichel to catch, wasn't it? That one at Spurs. But the David De Gea one against Mata, I've got it in mine as well. It was just unbelievable. But if you watch it in slow-mo, you slow it down extra, and you see the distance he had to cover to get there.
Yeah.
Mata's free kick right in the top corner. Breathtaking save, and of course, valuable in terms of points as well.
Yeah, I think we had come back from 3-0 down to come back 3-3 that game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that would have won it for them. That was an injury time. It just goes to say if Matt had scored that goal, it probably would have been the best free kick of his entire career.
Yeah.
And for De Gea to pluck it out was unbelievable.
I always think it's funny in football, isn't it? When you're so right. It could have been one of his greatest moments, and instead De Gea snatches it off him. I tell you what, Scott, this is interesting. What's your last one?
It was against Leighton Baines at home against Everton, last minute.
Not the penalty.
Not the penalty, no. The one. Yeah, you're right. He had saved
his last penalty save as well.
It was his last one. I was thinking as well that he did save a penalty against RVP in the decade as well, right? That game we won 8-2.
Yes.
I think that would have put them 1-0 up if I remember, but it was probably that one in injury time against Leighton Baines.
Yeah, that is a fantastic save. I actually went for a different one, Scott, funnily enough.
All right.
I went for his Matrix-style save at Stoke.
All right, yeah, I remember that.
You remember that one? Oh, it's blinding.
Yeah.
Absolutely blinding. I absolutely loved it. But look, yeah, David De Gea dominating the saves of the decade. As you would imagine. Look, we're going to take a bit of a left turn here, Scott. We're going to have to dig into some of our worst moments of the decade as well as our best. So let's go for our signings. We're going to go for the worst 3 signings before our best 3 signings. Your worst 3 signings of the decade, Scott. Go for it.
I've got 3.5.
3.5?
Yeah, I got 3.5.
Ed Woodward here with his PR offences.
Well, the third worst, probably have to say Angel Di Maria.
Yep.
Second worst.
No, let's go. So why Angel Di Maria? Go on, tell me.
He came with such huge hopes. He played fantastically the first couple of months of the season, and then everything just he started to get put in positions, and maybe it was Van Gaal's problem as well. I remember you always said that game away at Leicester when we were 3-1 up and we lost 5-3.
I've got it written here on my cheat sheet, Scott. I've got it exactly. I've got worst signings, Angel Di Maria. And I've got Leicester game. That Leicester game, it turned the world upside down. It sent us on a downward trajectory.
He had scored an unbelievable goal that game. Lest we forget.
Just off the chain. Unbelievable.
50-yard run.
Just brilliant. But you know what, Scott? That game was the pivotal moment in sending us on this journey away. Because Van Gaal, don't forget, we were playing 4-4-2. We were playing a diamond formation. Angel Di Maria was playing on the left of that diamond. And we, in that first half, we looked some of the best I've ever seen us since Fergie. We were really, really, really good. What did we have? Falcao crossed to Van Persie at the far post. Van Persie headed in, if I remember correctly. And it was just, Falcao hit the bar with an outrageous volley, didn't he? Remember? Oh, God.
Yeah.
So, it was that game the world turned upside down, but I have to agree.
And it all came from that Raphael. It wasn't even a penalty. He gave it away. He got sent off for that as well, right?
It was not a penalty.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, this is supposed to be a positive one,
As you said at the start of the show, off air, this decade hasn't been great. So it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows.
But, it was also the way he tried to engineer his move out. And then his final nail in the coffin was his reaction when he assisted a goal for PSG last season at Old Trafford, right? And pretended to swig out the bottle and all that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to say at least Romelu Lukaku did one last good thing before he left in terms of celebrating it in Di Maria's face when Rashford fired us to victory in the Parc des Princes.
What's funny is we're talking about worst signings here, and I know that some United fans would put Romelu Lukaku on their worst signings. He is nowhere near mine.
Nowhere near.
He was a good signing for us.
His mate is on mine, though.
Yeah, mine too.
Go on.
Not yet,
What's
though.
your second one? Go on.
Second one is Falcao. Again, he came out of nowhere, right? I think maybe the beginning of this curse of let's just sign a player who City want and see how it works out. Well, actually, that didn't really work with Berbatov, right? Because Berbatov was beautiful, but one of those came out of nowhere and just...
I was just going to say, the thing is, it came out of nowhere and it also affected Van Persie's position in the squad, didn't it? So it pushed Van Persie down, so we got a lesser Van Persie. We're expecting the world out of Falcao. We got nothing out of Falcao. We ended up losing both of them.
You're right. He's not on this list because he was a bad player. He was unlucky.
No.
He had terrible injuries. He lost that fear factor as well, right? That he could put it in from anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, if anything, bringing Van Gaal in, you sort of thought, okay, this is maybe Van Persie's chance to have an Indian summer here. He's been put out to pastures by Moyes for no reason.
Yeah.
And let's hope that Van Gaal can come in and him and Rooney can keep banging them in because those two are lethal up front. Let's not forget. And I think that Falcao coming in, we didn't even need a striker.
I know.
And it was just one of those, he was available. It was too good to say no. City wanted him. We might as well get him. And I just remember that deadline day, I was saw him with that scarf. And in fact, it was on Twitter. It was, hours before.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so much excitement about it. And just fell flat on our face, didn't it?
Yeah.
It could have been worse. He could have gone to Chelsea the next year and been off the chain. He could have banged 25 goals in. It was actually better for us that he went there and was even worse.
Yeah, Jose signed him, didn't he?
Yeah.
People forget that.
Worst signing, easy, Alexis Sanchez.
The third worst.
No, the worst.
The worst by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst by far.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely by far. I mean, just inconceivably bad.
Well, it was.
You cannot even. I mean, where do we even start?
Yeah.
I mean, even now, right? We've got a front line, and of course, we could do with a player of that ilk, of that style. But it's not even a conversation, as it's got. And we're paying the lion's share of his wages to be Inter. It boggles the mind. I can't even begin to discuss that one. And again, you have to say, Scott, again, it was us trying to stop City signing a player.
Mm-hmm.
Small-time nonsense.
Mm-hmm. And maybe just an insight as to the mentality difference between playing for Arsenal and playing for United.
Yeah.
He was a world-class player, was Arsenal's best player for years, and he came and didn't even have the pressure of having to be our best player.
No.
And I'll be honest, another one of those, I remember the moments. He made his debut in the FA Cup away at Yeovil or York, or I think it was Yeovil.
Yeah, no, it was at Yeovil.
And he was fantastic. He was picking passes out.
He was.
And we're thinking,
it's Yeovil, Scott.
He's thinking, we've got one here, and no, bought a kipper.
He was still dropping too deep in that match.
But my bonus,
yeah,
worst signing for Manchester United in my life is David Moyes.
Well, is that your best signing or your worst signing?
That's the worst.
Yeah.
We trusted Fergie so much that we just believed him. Forget that Guardiola's available. Forget that Mourinho's available. If Fergie says we've got to go and get David Moyes, we need David Moyes. And it was blind faith.
Yeah, we'll touch on that mayhem later. I'll give you another half a worst signing as well, Scott. I've got another half worst signing that's really blooming annoyed me in the last decade is Paul Pogba. We spent 85 million quid. We spent a world record fee on this guy. A guy who's meant to have United running through his blood, running through his heart. And the truth is that if we were going to sign someone for that amount of money, for what we got, for a world record fee, for what he's given us, honestly, I can't even begin to describe how disappointed I am with it.
Yeah.
It is like, look, I'm not saying he's anywhere near one of our worst players. I know the talent of the guy. Don't even start with that conversation. But in terms of what we gave and what we obviously
have expected back, as well,
it's just another planet.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, mate, best three signings. Let's have a bit of fun. Best three signings of the decade. Who are you going for?
Robin van Persie, 2011.
Robin van Persie, sensational signing. One of Fergie's last.
Mm-hmm.
People said we paid too much, didn't they? Last year of the contract, or you spend 25 million.
Having a laugh, 25 million.
25 million for a title.
And it was just funny, wasn't it? Because we'd spent so long signing players that we expected something good of them to come in a year or two, and to buy someone who was just world class already and come and just start banging in and scoring a hat trick in his first month and away at Southampton. That hat trick he scored was ridiculous. He even missed that penalty.
Missed the penalty, yeah. Missed the penalty too. And like you say, we had signed someone who was the top dog in the Premier League, right? He was a real top dog. City went for him too. Fergie pulled out his old charm. And like you say, it was an absolutely sensational signing. Not 19 forever. Number 20 on his back, Van Persie. Who's your second one?
It's tough to pick between, but I'm going to say Zlatan in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
It was exactly what we needed. That mercurial figure to come in and spearhead our team, not just our attack.
Yeah.
Take huge pressure on his shoulders, and again another one of those players who came in and just hit the ground running. Scored a 35-yard, or his first goal was a bicycle kick, and they scored a 35-yarder. And
he did.
It was tough to pick between him and Martial in 2005 because over the course of
2005, that's last decade.
2015. 2015. I still think we're still yet to see the best of Martial, but he's been a solid player for us for 5 years. But my best signing, my number one signing.
Wait a sec. You haven't asked my second one yet.
Okay, sorry. Your second signing.
Mine's Zlatan. Mine's Zlatan.
I knew it
too,
was.
Don't worry.
But,
I mean, look, he came in, like you say, hit the ground running, and it was more than just a player. It was the goals, it's delivery, it's the player, but also I felt that he raised the standards.
Mm-hmm.
I felt he raised the standards of Pogba. I even felt he raised the standards of Mourinho.
Mm-hmm.
You know, funnily enough, I know a boss is meant to be managing a player, but when you've got people of certain influence around you, you don't behave in certain ways. And I thought Mourinho's behaviour went down when Zlatan left the dressing room, because obviously he was injured and he wasn't around. And Paul Pogba too.
It's almost the same impact that Eric Cantona had on Alex Ferguson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You work with people. You don't, when they're in your squad, you don't work against them. And I did feel that Zlatan it was the elevation of the standards in the squad that I loved. Of course, we got the Zlatan that was on his way out. He still performed physically. But yeah, I totally agree with that one. Top dog, best signing of the decade.
Paul Scholes, 2012.
Of course you blooming did. Absolutely, Scott. Unbelievable. If you ever get the chance to sign Paul Scholes, only one club ever gets the chance. And we signed him twice, didn't we?
Yeah. I don't think he even signed. He barely signed anything. He just nodded his head that he would play.
Can we just go back to that day, Scott? Because this was we're talking about the days when we used to sing, didn't we? We're Man United. We do what we want, and we really did seem to do whatever we wanted. And that day was just bonkers. I mean, the team came out, Paul Scholes, and you're like, hang about, what on earth's going on here?
Yeah.
And then after a few minutes, you just accept it. Yeah, that's what we do. We just, of course, Scholes is out of retirement. Of course, Fergie didn't tell anyone. Of course, no one in the training ground leaked it. Imagine that happened these days. Imagine how many leaks there'd be.
It was the really early kickoff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a cup game at City.
And he was naughty when he came on as well.
I got a call. I usually wake up for the game, but I got a call an hour before. My brother was frantic. Got 3 calls, and I was like, oh my God, something's happened here. So I pick up the third call or whatever it was, and he's like, Paul Scholes on the bench. I'm like, what? There's just no way, right? And it was literally like it was a family emergency. He was calling that frantically.
Yeah. Superb.
Who was your top dog?
Well, I haven't done them in order, but I've got David De Gea.
Okay.
David De Gea, Zlatan, and Robin van Persie. Special mentions for Paul Scholes and Chicharito. Mm-hmm. I love Chicharito. I thought he's such a load of fun. But I would have to say the top 3, Zlatan, David De Gea, Robin van Persie.
All right.
Right, on to worst seasons. The worst 3 seasons of the decade. After you.
All right. I've actually...
Do you want me to start with this one?
Yeah, you can start with this one.
I'll start with in third position. I've got last season.
All right.
As it happens.
Okay.
Just because obviously an awful start. We had a nice part in the middle, but then the realisation that the magic carpet ride we'd been on with Ollie had crashed pretty comprehensively, and the dross we had to endure at the end of last season. For me, it was so disappointing after such a high when Ollie came in, and after such a low when Mourinho left. It was just, for me, it was just, now we've got such a long way back, it seems.
Yeah, that's a fair one. And I will be honest, I actually only did write 2. So, I'll agree with you on that and say I didn't want to think too much about the worst. 2 were obvious.
No.
All right, but anyway, number 2, go on.
Going after you.
Moyes' first year.
Yeah, I've got that too.
The defence going one at a time when Vidic went to Inter and then Evra went to Juventus, and it just everyone just was jumping ship. Banned chips. I mean, who bans chips?
Special occasion, right? Come on, you don't ban them. Special occasion.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And look, we finished 22 points off the pace, and we'd won the title by about 12 or 11 points the season before.
And we were so bad. Yeah. There were games that you just didn't even want to watch. It was that bad. I remember there was home to Liverpool. I knew we were going to get smashed, and it was one of the only games I've actually not watched and cared not to watch. And we ended up getting stuffed 3-0, so we didn't miss much.
It was awful. But what I would say, the United fans did themselves proud that day. The last 20 minutes, we just sung and sung and sung because it's all we could do. But yeah, I totally agree. Moyes' season was awful. We all know which one the worst season is. Should we just say the number and move on?
Yeah.
2012?
Yep, 2011-12, yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Good season.
Best ones. Let's go with 2016-17.
Number 3, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what I've got too.
Winning the Europa League.
League Cup.
Yeah, lovely football.
Zlatan. Yeah,
the return of Pogba. The first year of Pogba was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He was into it, and we were loving it. We all had him on our shirts.
Yeah.
And we were loving it.
And we were singing Jose's Got Us Playing the Way United Should.
Yeah.
Everyone was singing it. Was singing it. And like you say, we had Zlatan leading the way as well. It did seem like we were turning a corner, did it? It really did. Also, we had the victory in Stockholm, which, well, like I say, it did seem to propel us forward. Unfortunately, it was another false dawn. What's your second best season of the decade, Scott?
2010-11.
Yeah, I've got that too. It was my second. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, Berbatov and Nani tearing it up for us boys.
Yeah, first season with Chicharito.
Yep. Rooney, unfortunately, halfway through the season seemed to throw his toys out the pram a little bit, didn't he? But I do remember Berbatov and Nani really, really leading the way that season. And it was, we've won the title twice this decade, so obviously there's going to be two. There's obviously going to be. I know what your third season is. Your number one, don't I?
It's probably got to be 2012-13, right?
I would have thought so, Scott. I would have thought so. Listen, I'm going to ask you your top 3 moments and your worst 3 moments now. So we're going to dig a bit deeper probably into those seasons, I would have thought.
Okay.
So should we go for that, yeah? Your worst 3 moments.
Worst
and
3.
We'll dig a little, your worst 3.
All right.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first if you want.
Okay, so I will start with the 4-0 loss against Everton last year.
Okay.
I would say it was just such a body blow for what Ollie was trying to do and for the direction we were trying to go in. And just from watching a United team just put in so little effort across the board, it really broke my heart to an extent, that one, I must say, Scott.
All right. Yeah, I would agree with that. My third one is last year as well.
Yeah.
It was when we lost 3-1 at Liverpool.
Okay.
Mourinho's last game,
Yeah.
and I remember just being on the phone with you for hours after that.
Yeah, you were gone.
Yeah,
you were,
because we had gone through months of him playing games, playing silly buggers with selections. Pogba on the bench,
and Pogba did start on the bench against Liverpool, didn't he? He didn't come off the bench.
Yeah,
if I remember rightly.
Yep.
Yeah. It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Okay, your second worst.
My second worst is a funny one, actually, Scott. Well, not really funny, but it's actually the 2011 Champions League final.
All right, yeah.
As it happened.
Yeah,
I was there in Wembley, and I must say I've never been so disappointed in us United fans as I was that day. Look, I know the way the tickets were allocated. I know the zones that United fans were put in were not conducive to us making a fantastic atmosphere. But you had one crescent behind a goal with Barcelona fans making all kinds of rackets, and it seemed like it was just me and my bloody family trying to sing on our own that day. It really did. And in the Champions League final, after being in Moscow in 2008 and seeing the atmosphere there, it really saddened me that day, I must say. I thought we went out with a bit of a whimper. And like I say, for the one time in my life, I thought we let ourselves down a bit that day.
Yeah, I remember speaking with you a lot before that game, and then we didn't speak for about 2 months afterwards. Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah,
I'm not surprised. What's your second worst moment of the decade?
It was the Moyes moment. The moment that I think it was away. We played at home to City. We got smashed 3-0, and he came out and said, "This is the kind of team that we aspire to be. Yeah. This is the kind of team that we want to be like." And it was, This was a championship-winning team he was messing with.
Yeah,
and it was the moment that for months we had such blind faith with Fergie, saying if this is what Fergie thinks that is the best for us, we've got to follow suit. And there was just a moment that you realise, God, David Moyes is our manager. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and for the people who like to point the finger at Fergie, trying to be hipster and all cool and stuff, and say that Fergie's to blame, didn't lead the squad in a good state, and blah blah blah, and all the rest of it. Then let's not mess around here. In 2010, we lost the title by 1 point, I believe, to Chelsea. Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Drogba was offside as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where's VAR when we needed it?
Mm-hmm.
2011, we won the title by a number of points. It wasn't goal difference. It wasn't 8 points, 10 points, something like that. Mm-hmm. 2012, we lost the title on goal difference. And then 2013, what did we win it by? Another 10 points, 12 points again? I think 12 points. Mm-hmm. So then the next season, everyone says that Fergie left the squad in a bad state. I mean, what are you talking about?
He didn't.
I mean, what are you talking about? You complete lunatics. He's lost the league on goal difference or 1 point, or won it by 10 or 8 or 12 or 19, a canter. And then people turn around and say he's left. And the other thing is Fergie hardly spent any cash in his last years. He left the pot full. Moyes had the pot to spend. He spent all summer chasing blooming Tony Cruz and blooming Fabregas around Europe.
Yeah.
So let's get that straight anyway. But I suppose we have to do our worst moment of the decade, Scott. There is no other competition for this one, is there?
No, it was pretty easy, wasn't it?
Pretty easy, yeah.
Aguero. Yeah, that's what I was
Aguero,
saying.
2012.
I was watching it at my apartment in New York, and I was sitting on the couch, and my roommate didn't know much about football. Was standing behind me when when the goal went in, and I was just speechless. Right, I was just absolutely motionless. And he went, "Wait, is that a bad thing?" And I just,
You still trying to pick your fist out of his mouth?
oh my god, I didn't know whether to cry or to scream or just I didn't know. I'd seen it coming for 10, 15 minutes before when Joey Barton got sent off, and you just knew it was going to happen.
It was a desperate day, wasn't it? It made all the worse that we were in the hunt at the end. But look, I don't want to talk about that too much. I haven't for 8 years now. It's been bloody 8 years. It doesn't seem that long ago, does it? But yeah, the good thing is that as a United fan, it will never be as bad again. That's as bad as it gets, right? 93rd minute against your rivals.
Yeah,
they take the title. It doesn't get worse than that,
no.
So if all the fans.
But the problem is that it doesn't get better than that for them, and it's something that is just ingrained in history. And there's a bunch of shows of the best moments of the decade, etc., and that is number one over all of football.
Yeah.
And it's painful. It's something that we're going to have to watch for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, so I've done our top threes today without having to look at any of these Sky Sports, BBC, whatever they're doing, top moments of the decades, because I know what's going to happen, and I do positively avoid it, Scott.
Oh, I haven't seen any either.
I can't watch it. But listen, mate, let's end on a high. The top three moments of the decade. Look, it's been a decade that us Reds had not expected. Coming into it, we were on a high. We were flying. Look, last decade, the decade before, the 90s, the 2000s, bloody magic. This last decade has been ups and downs, but we have still had some magic moments, Scott. So what's your number three?
Paris last year.
Yeah?
Yeah. Wonderful.
Okay, I haven't gone for that at all, actually.
All right.
Because, like we said before, I think we over-celebrated that.
But at the time, nothing had made me feel like that for years and years and years.
Yeah, I do understand. I went number three. I went for Stockholm.
Okay.
I went for the Europa League. Obviously, we had the Manchester bombings a few days before. I know on the pod we don't like to cling on to disasters and negativity. Bombings, racism, this kind of thing. I think it's nice to keep these things out of the news and talk about nice stuff. But it was a big day for Manchester as a whole. I think the players were exemplary, the management was exemplary. Mourinho was great, and we dispatched an Ajax team that went on to show that they're actually a pretty good proposition. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's my third best moment of the decade.
Yeah, that's my second.
Fantastic. Okay, fantastic. So I guess I'll give my second then, shall I?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so my second is Jesse Lingard, his goal in the FA Cup final. I have to say, I did watch it at home. It got me in the garden. It was raining. It got a knee slide out of me like a little kid. I haven't done that for years. I must say, I was looking around. I was thinking, where are we going as a club? And that goal, it just lit a fire in me. And then, of course, we had in the evening, we had Mourinho was announced as our boss. And it seemed like we were turning a corner and getting back to the glory years. So that little moment in time, I still know the feeling now. It was a special moment. I really enjoyed that.
All right, good moment.
And so, Scott, to end the show, your moment of the decade, your favourite moment of the whole decade.
Pretty obvious, isn't it? It's saying goodbye to Sir Alex. Yeah. His last game, the outpouring of emotion in that game, and that was just wonderful.
Yeah, I've cheated a little bit, Scott. I've written Fergie's last week.
All right,
because the game at Old Trafford, I went to both Old Trafford and the Hawthorns as well. I was very lucky. I'm very thankful for that. But that day in Old Trafford was amazing, absolutely amazing. The atmosphere. Rio scoring in the last minute. Of course he did. Mm-hmm. That was a really, really special moment at Old Trafford. Fergie lifted the Premier League trophy. When do you ever see a manager lift a trophy, eh?
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen.
And fully deserved.
Absolutely. And, of course, we'll leave the speech out of this, shall we? But look, that was a magic day. But then we went to the Hawthorns, and that day at the Hawthorns was a mad, mad day. Look, I know we drew. We wanted to win. We were leading a number of times during the game. Romelu Lukaku, that bugger, ruined the day for us. But what a week. What a guy. What memories, eh?
Yeah, wonderful.
I would say, Scott, if you had told me, as I say, I was in the grounds for both of the games. If you had told me how life would have turned out in terms of United after that. The one thing I will say, Scott, is after we drew 5-5 to West Brom, I did say to my mates coming out, I was like, are we going to react to this really, really badly? Because it seemed to me today that you draw 5-5. And it was only a moment. I wasn't prophesying at all. I'm not trying to say I claimed it at all. But as we left, I was saying, oh God, are we going to self-destruct here? Can we not handle this? And obviously we couldn't. But you might say the writing was on the wall there.
No, I mean, I remember Lindegaard chucked a couple in. I don't think you can put the whole downfall, the beginning of the downfall, in the hands of Anders Lindegaard, because he wasn't very good.
Can we? What was Fergie doing, dropping De Gea for that? Blooming hell, what's he talking about? Eh?
Well, I think he had to play Lindegaard for Lindegaard to get a medal, right?
I don't know. I don't think he did. He played Butner too. He scored, didn't he?
Yeah, Butner.
But yeah, it was a magical day, and the decade pretty much ended there, didn't it? 2013.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
football finished then.
Right, let's quickly do our team of the decade, and we'll wish you all a happy new year. In goal, David De Gea.
David De Gea, yeah, good choice.
100%. Should we go from left back first?
Yeah, go on after you.
Patrice Evra.
Easy.
Centre backs?
Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand.
Spot on.
Again, pretty obvious.
Right back?
This was tough for me because I was a massive fan of Rafael da Silva, but in terms of longevity and being a good servant for the team, it's probably got to be Antonio Valencia, doesn't it?
So I originally put Antonio Valencia in, but in the end I went for Rafael.
Oh.
I must say so, and I will explain why after. Let's go for midfield from the left.
From the left, Ryan Giggs on the left.
I've got Giggsy on the left.
Well, no, I've actually gone a 4-3-3.
Okay.
I've got Giggsy, Paul Scholes.
And War Michael.
Yeah, and Michael Carrick in there. How do you know?
Yeah. And up front?
This is crazy. It's just all... we haven't moved on from 2012.
No, we really haven't.
Yeah. Up front, I've got Marcus Rashford on the left.
Okay.
I've got Wayne Rooney and... Robin Van Persie up top and Wayne Rooney on the right.
Okay, so the only differences really is that I went for Raphael on the right back. I went for a 4-4-2, and I went for Nani on the right. Mm-hmm. And I went for Rooney and Van Persie up front. The reason why is because we got De Gea, Ferdinand, Vidic, Evra, Scholes, Carrick, Giggs, Rooney, Van Persie taking up that whole left side of the pitch and central side of the pitch. So to me, having a Raphael and a Nani, a bit of outrageousness, a bit of unpredictability, passion on that right-hand side, to me, balanced the side beautifully. Antonio Valencia, my first sub, of course. But, yeah, that's what I went for. 4-4-2, Rafa on the right, Nani on the right too.
Yeah, I think in terms of, as you say, passion, quality and pride that we get from watching him, Marcus Rashford is definitely deserved of a place in that team. And although I loved him, I had him on 2 of my shirts, Nani, he would be on my bench, he wouldn't be on my team.
No worries, Scott. And then my one final question for you, Scott. Your manager of the squad for the decade.
Oh, it's Sir Alex Ferguson.
Of course it is. Thanks for listening again, Reds. I hope you enjoyed our end of decade review. Let's hope the next decade's a little bit more fruitful, or it starts off how it did the last one. Thanks for joining me again, Scott.
Thank you, TC.
Cheerio, Reds. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Ta-ra.